There's a moment in life that changes people forever. Not a loud moment, not a dramatic betrayal, just a quiet realization that the people smiling at you are slowly destroying your mind. And the terrifying part is, they often don't even need to touch you to ruin you. A sentence is enough. A look, a delayed reply, a fake apology, a cold silence, and suddenly your peace is gone. You stop sleeping normally. You replay conversations in your head at 2 a.m. You overanalyze messages. You wonder if you said something wrong. You begin fighting invisible battles nobody else can see. That's how psychological control begins. Not with chains, but with emotional confusion. Machiavelli once understood something most people never realize. The easiest person to control is the person who desperately wants to be loved. And maybe that's exactly what happened to you. Maybe you gave someone too much emotional access. Maybe you trusted too deeply. Maybe you kept trying to explain your heart to people who were secretly enjoying your suffering. Because some people don't want peace with you. They want power over you. And the moment your happiness no longer depends on them, they panic. A boy named Adam learned this too late. At 19, Adam was known as the calm one. Quiet, kind, always understanding. He listened more than he spoke. People trusted him because he made others feel safe. But what nobody knew was that Adam had a dangerous weakness. He needed approval. Not attention, approval. The kind that makes you feel valuable. The kind that makes silence feel like rejection. And people sensed it immediately, especially one person. Her name was Lena. She entered Adam's life slowly. At first, she seemed perfect. Soft voice, deep conversations, late night talks about trauma, loneliness, and dreams. She told Adam things nobody else knew. And that's how emotional traps begin. Not with manipulation, with vulnerability. Because vulnerability creates attachment faster than attraction ever could. Adam thought he found someone who understood him. But what he actually found was someone studying him. Lena noticed every insecurity, every fear, every emotional wound. She learned what made him anxious, what made him jealous, what made him overthink. And then she began using those things quietly. Not enough to expose herself, just enough to destabilize him. That's how intelligent manipulators work. They don't destroy you instantly. They confuse you slowly. One day, Lena would shower him with affection. The next day, she'd disappear for hours, sometimes days. When Adam asked if something was wrong, she'd laugh. "Why are you always overthinking?" That sentence destroyed him more than any insult could. Because now, Adam wasn't just hurt. He felt guilty for being hurt. And that's one of the darkest psychological tricks in human behavior. Making someone feel weak for reacting to pain you caused. Weeks passed. Adam stopped feeling calm. His thoughts became loud, heavy, obsessive. He checked his phone every 5 minutes. His mood depended on her replies. His peace depended on her attention. Without realizing it, he handed someone else control over his emotional state. And once someone controls your emotions, they control your life. That's why Machiavelli warned people about emotional dependency. Because dependence creates fear. Fear creates obedience. And obedient people become easy to manipulate. But Adam still believed love required suffering. That's what most young people believe now. If it hurts deeply, they call it passion. If it destroys their mental health, they call it attachment. If they lose themselves, they call it love. But real love does not force you to abandon your peace. Toxic attachment does. One night, Adam waited 6 hours for Lena to reply. 6 hours staring at a screen. 6 hours imagining worst-case scenarios. 6 hours mentally torturing himself while she was probably living normally. And when she finally replied, it was only 3 words. "Sorry, was busy." That was it. No explanation, no care, no emotion. But Adam felt relieved anyway. That's when the addiction became complete. Because the human brain can become addicted to emotional inconsistency. Random affection creates stronger attachment than constant affection. Casinos use this. Social media uses this. Manipulators use this. The uncertainty itself becomes addictive. Your brain starts chasing emotional rewards like a starving animal. And slowly, peace disappears from your life. Adam stopped enjoying simple things. Music sounded empty. Food lost taste. Even laughter felt fake. His mind was always somewhere else. Waiting, analyzing, worrying. He no longer lived in the present. He lived inside psychological survival mode. That's what emotional chaos does. It disconnects you from reality. One afternoon, Adam met his old friend Daniel at a cafe. Daniel looked at him carefully. "You don't look alive anymore." Adam laughed awkwardly. "I'm just stressed." But Daniel stayed silent for a moment before saying something that terrified him. "No, you look emotionally controlled." Those words stayed in Adam's mind for days. Emotionally controlled. Was that true? Could someone really manipulate your mind without you noticing? Yes. And it happens every day. Some people don't punch your face. They punch your nervous system. They make you doubt yourself. They create anxiety inside you, then blame you for feeling anxious. And eventually, you start apologizing for emotions they created. That's psychological domination. And once you understand this, you begin seeing the world differently. Adam started observing Lena more carefully. Suddenly, he noticed patterns. She only gave affection when he pulled away. She ignored him when he became available. She created jealousy subtly, mentioning other guys casually, taking longer to reply after emotional conversations, acting distant whenever he seemed emotionally secure. It wasn't random, it was strategic. Because some people fear losing control more than losing love. The moment they sense independence in you, they create emotional tension to pull you back in. And the scariest part? Many manipulators don't even realize they're doing it consciously. People project their inner chaos onto others. Broken people often create broken minds around them. Adam finally confronted Lena one night. "Why do I always feel anxious around you?" For a second, her expression changed. Not sadness, not guilt, annoyance, because manipulators hate awareness. She crossed her arms. "So now I'm the villain?" That sentence trapped Adam instantly, because now he felt cruel for questioning her behavior. This is called emotional inversion, when the person causing pain suddenly becomes the victim, and empathetic people fall for it constantly. Why? Because good people fear hurting others, even when they themselves are bleeding. That night, Adam apologized again. Not because he was wrong, but because he feared losing her. Fear. That's always the real prison. Not love. Fear of abandonment. Fear of loneliness. Fear of not being enough. Machiavelli understood human fear better than most philosophers. He knew fear controls human behavior more than logic ever will. People stay in toxic friendships because of fear. Toxic relationships because of fear. Toxic environments because of fear. And every day they sacrifice their peace to avoid temporary loneliness. But loneliness is not the worst thing in life. Losing yourself is. Months passed. Adam became emotionally exhausted. His confidence disappeared. Even his posture changed. He walked slower, spoke softer, thought harder. Overthinking consumed him completely. And overthinking is dangerous because it creates invisible suffering. Nobody sees the war happening inside your head. Nobody sees the conversations you replay 500 times. Nobody sees the fake scenarios your brain creates at midnight. Nobody sees how exhausted you are from thinking too much. But internally, you're collapsing. Then one night, something happened that changed Adam forever. He saw Lena laughing with another guy outside a restaurant. Not cheating, not flirting aggressively, just peaceful, relaxed, happy. And suddenly, Adam realized something horrifying. The chaos only existed inside him. While he was mentally drowning, she was sleeping peacefully. That realization shattered him, because emotionally manipulated people often suffer alone. The manipulator moves normally. The victim carries the emotional weight. Adam went home that night and stared at himself in the mirror for almost an hour. He barely recognized the person looking back. Dark circles, tired eyes, anxiety hidden behind silence. And then he asked himself a question that most people avoid their entire lives. When was the last time I truly felt peace? He couldn't remember. That's how dangerous emotional dependency becomes. You become so focused on keeping someone that you lose yourself completely. The next morning, Adam disappeared. Not physically, emotionally. He stopped chasing, stopped explaining, stopped begging for clarity, stopped trying to fix someone who enjoyed confusion. And at first, the silence terrified him, because healing feels lonely before it feels peaceful. The brain panics when chaos disappears. People become addicted to emotional noise. Without it, calmness feels unfamiliar. Adam almost texted her many times, almost went back, almost apologized again. But every time he reached for his phone, he remembered what he had become. A prisoner waiting for emotional permission to feel okay. And something inside him finally broke. Or maybe finally woke up. Weeks later, Lena returned. Of course she did. Because people often come back when they feel your detachment. Not because they love you deeply, but because your independence threatens their control. She texted him late at night. I miss you. 3 simple words. Words that once would have destroyed his self-control instantly. But now, Adam stared at the screen differently. Because distance reveals truths emotions hide. He realized something terrifying. He never actually missed her. He missed emotional validation. He missed temporary relief from anxiety. He missed the illusion of being chosen. That's why many people return to toxic situations. Not because they love the person, because they crave emotional certainty. And certainty is addictive. Adam didn't reply, not to punish her, not to play games, but because he finally understood something Machiavelli knew centuries ago. Peace is power. The moment someone can control your emotions, your attention, your self-worth, they own part of your soul. And most people give this power away freely. To strangers, to lovers, to toxic friends, to social media, to opinions, to rejection, to temporary people who were never meant to stay forever. That's why inner peace is rare now. Everyone's mind belongs to something else. Notifications, validation, comparison, fear, memories, regret. People wake up anxious before their feet even touch the ground. Not because life is always terrible, but because their minds never rest. And a restless mind becomes easy to manipulate. That's why protecting your peace is not weakness. It's psychological warfare. Some people will hate you once you stop reacting emotionally. They'll call you cold, distant, different. But what actually scares them is that they can no longer control your inner state. A calm person is dangerous because calm people think clearly. They don't beg. They don't chase chaos. They don't panic easily. And emotionally manipulative people lose power around calm minds. Adam understood this slowly. He started rebuilding himself quietly. Morning walks without his phone, reading instead of obsessing, silence instead of constant stimulation. He learned to sit alone without feeling abandoned. And that changes a person deeply. Because the strongest people are not those surrounded by attention. They are the ones who can survive their own thoughts peacefully. Months later, Adam saw Lena again, accidentally. But this time, nothing happened inside him. No panic, no obsession, no emotional earthquake, just awareness. And in that moment, he realized something powerful. Inner peace is not the absence of pain. It's the inability of others to control your pain anymore. That's the freedom most people never reach, because society teaches people how to impress others, but never how to emotionally detach from them. People know how to attract attention, but not how to protect their nervous system. And eventually, their minds become prisons built by other people's opinions. Machiavelli once understood a brutal truth about human nature. People will respect your boundaries only after they realize they can no longer emotionally manipulate you, not before. And maybe that's why some people become angry when you heal, because your healing removes their access to your mind. Suddenly, their silence no longer scares you. Their rejection no longer destroys you. Their approval no longer defines your worth. And that loss of control frustrates them deeply. But there's another truth nobody talks about. Sometimes, the person stealing your peace isn't another person. It's you. Your overthinking, your obsession with being understood, your inability to let go, your addiction to replaying painful memories, your habit of emotionally chasing people who already showed you who they are. Some minds become self-destructive prisons, and the longer you stay trapped there, the more life passes you by. Think about how many nights you lost to overthinking, how many mornings anxiety ruined, how many beautiful moments disappeared because your brain was somewhere else. That's not living. That's psychological captivity, and captivity becomes familiar after a while. Some people are so used to emotional suffering, peace actually feels uncomfortable to them. Healthy love feels boring. Calmness feels suspicious. Silence feels threatening, because chaos became their emotional home. That's the hidden damage manipulation causes. It changes your nervous system. But healing begins the moment you stop asking, how do I keep them? And start asking, why do I keep abandoning myself for people who damage my peace? That question changes everything, because once you truly value your inner peace, your entire life changes. You stop forcing conversations. Stop begging for explanations. Stop chasing emotionally unavailable people. Stop trying to prove your worth to those committed to misunderstanding you. And strangely, life becomes quieter, not emptier, quieter. There's a difference. The noise disappears. The mental battles disappear. The emotional instability disappears. And for the first time, you can hear your own thoughts clearly. That's why silence terrifies some people. Silence reveals truth. It exposes who genuinely cares and who only enjoyed controlling your emotions. In the end, Adam learned something painful. The people who destroy your peace rarely look evil. Sometimes they look charming, attractive, broken, intelligent, even loving. But poison does not become safe just because it tastes sweet. And emotional poison spreads slowly, one overthought at a time, one sleepless night at a time, one anxious attachment at a time, until eventually you forget who you were before the chaos entered your life. But here's the darkest truth of all. Some people never escape. Some spend their entire lives emotionally imprisoned by others, still seeking validation at 40, still terrified of rejection at 50, still abandoning their peace to avoid loneliness, still emotionally reacting to people who barely think about them. And one day, they wake up old, realizing they spent their entire life protecting relationships instead of protecting their mind. That regret destroys people. Not loudly, quietly. The same way peace was stolen from them in the first place. So if there's one thing you remember from this story, remember this. The world will always try to enter your mind. People will project their chaos onto you. Manipulators will test your emotional weaknesses. Society will teach you to chase validation endlessly. But the moment you stop allowing others to control your inner state, you become dangerous in a way most people never will. Because a peaceful mind cannot be manipulated easily. And in a world addicted to emotional chaos, that kind of peace is power.